All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Collision Repair Refinish stage, powered by iCar and SCRS here at SEMA 2025. So I am Bud Center, Director of Technical Products and Curriculum from iCar, and to my left I have
John Melendez with JDM Collision.
Tom McFinch with iCar.
And guys, we're here today to talk a little bit about mentorship. So iCar has our new Academy curriculum. We have the Collision Careers program, and it drives all kinds of incredible tools for the collision industry, things to help with our technician shortage and bringing new talent into the industry. So from the side looking at a mentor, right? Tom, when you're out talking to the shops and you're talking to schools, what are some of the biggest challenges that they have with the mentor side of this, with bringing in new talent and getting them educated?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges they have with mentorship is understanding who and how to identify the best person in the shop to be a mentor. That's one of the challenges we see very often from the shop side. And then from the school side, the students don't know which are the best shops to select that might have a mentor available for them that can really develop them in their future as they move forward in their career in collision repair.
Yeah. John, as a shop owner, what do you, I know you work a lot with students, when you're working with that and you're trying to mentor somebody, what is the biggest challenge that you have finding that mentor, but also implementing a program, where you're training that entry-level student with these mentors?
Give two examples. Our paint shop. We have a young lady who was an instructor at one of the tech schools in Illinois, which we're fortunate to have on board, is to keep the kids engaged and yet have empathy, but yet that engagement give them the opportunity to excel. We're finding out that in other training options that our girl puts in place is textbook. We're seeing this younger generation looking for a different direction. They don't want to be a textbook person. They would, if they have the opportunity to do it hands-on, give them that chance. That we've seen more positive of a response from the students that we have in place than it is just saying, okay, well, we're just going to have you do this task today, and the team effort. Giving the team effort and having the mentor and working together as a team with multiple kids, which we are doing that as a paired team, has given us a better perspective and respect on us getting our signal across. That's in the paint department. Now we're going to be moving into the body side in the same respect. And when we're doing the blueprinting process, we're trying to explain it to them, we do it as a team. Get the car bagged, get it tagged, get the parts, and keep them engaged so they know that the process is repetitive, but being engaged and having that sense of security with us being there right with them, it makes it flow so much easier instead of just pushing them to the side, where if you had a flagged hour technician trying to utilize him as a mentor with the student, that I've seen fail many, many times.
Yeah. So back to you, Tom. So one of the things that I hear very commonly, I've done a few different panel discussions with students, and we talk about mentorship programs and getting into this type of thing, and they talk about the biggest key for them and what's going to make them the most successful in that program is the quality of the mentor. So let's just talk a little bit about the quality of the mentor. How do you become a good mentor? How do you identify the right person to be a mentor? How do you match them up? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great question, but the biggest thing we see with understanding who their best mentors will be is to John's point earlier, right? That mentor has to have a level of empathy, and they have to have a level of understanding that the person they're working with is not at the same skill level they are and have not been developed fully, and they have to really understand that that young person needs support, right? They're going to make mistakes. That mentor has to understand that young person will make mistakes, and it's not the mistake they make, but it's how do they recover from that mistake and how do they move forward in the future to not repeat those mistakes over and over and over again.
So kind of same question to you, John. When you're working with these mentors in your shop, what specifically can you do to identify the right mentor? It's not always, a lot of times you hear people say, well, I'm going to take my top technician and he's going to become my mentor. And a lot of times they are not the right people to be a mentor.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly true, Bud. Honestly, you just don't take that in consideration. You got to look at the individual as a well-rounded person who is very conversational, empathetic, and then, of course, willing to give direction. And I'm going to be repetitive. The team concept has given us that opportunity where these younger kids are understanding it much more better, that I don't just put it on one individual. I'm fortunate the shop is not that large, in which where that technician, who is our Pro Level 3 structural technician, is doing a fantastic job. In the case that we see him doing a job that he's welding, perfect opportunity, get kid with a helmet as well, and see how that technician's actually doing the weld. And not that he's going to get into it right away, but just to understand the process and what that technician's doing, in which that's a level you'll be at later. Don't think you're going to get into that right away, but at least seeing what he has to do. And then, of course, you know, as the kid's learning this, I had one of the techs ask the young tech, he says, hey, you mind cleaning this up? I have this wheel ready. He says, sure, absolutely. So you get that kind of that networking together, and it's like he's learning how to dress a weld a little bit, but he's right there overseeing it, but yet he's still showing them. I've seen that to be a more of a positive direction than just not taking that better tech, and then I'm in the background, or I have another technician that's in there as well, that it's like, okay, well, what else you got going on, Lamont? Okay, so he'll come around, the kid says, I have this issue that needs to be addressed. So we have them engaged to where technicians are both trying to take the tech, utilize them, and move them around, keep them busy, and stay engaged. And not just stand there. You know, where we keep them with the hands-on, and we're getting a stronger perceptive. They're actually accepting it. It's exciting because you could see it in them. And then when you notice when they do something well and you compliment them, you can't chisel the smile off their face. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. That makes it much more understanding.
So another big challenge you have, right? You get these apprentice technicians in the shop, and how often do we hear the story of they come in as an apprentice tech, and now they're on the wash rack washing cars, or they're sweeping floors, or they're taking out the trash, and it's because the shop really didn't have a plan. They didn't have, you know, something set up, structured to actually work with these students, right? What can a shop do? Either one of you guys can take this. What can shops do to better prepare for that, so that, you know, the quickest way to drive somebody out of being a collision tech is probably putting a broom in their hands and saying sweep floors after you've had all this education, right?
No, that's so true, and that's still in existence. We helped place a couple kids on the high school site in Northwest Indiana with a shop, and that's exactly what they did. The kid had some very good talent, and they put him right inside of the wash bay. Now, I do have the kids help out, and which I will personally get in there, let them know that's an important part. If we had somebody that's not in place and that detailer's not in that day, or we always make sure the paint team does pre-washes. That's a prerequisite. And clean the car and make sure everything is fine before you put it into your paint department so it doesn't get contaminated. So to take that, and not saying that that's all you're going to do, but yet, yes, we have to help out and be working together. But I've been losing the words because we have it going on every day, and I had that actually happen, and we lost 2 techs for that simple reason. This is before the academy, before all these programs came into place. You know, I had that same mindset, but put them in the wash bay, earn your keep. Yeah. Let's get moving. And guess what? That was the worst thing to do. Yeah. So now I'm apprehensive on just tossing them in there, keeping them engaged, and letting them know that there's a lot more than just that.
Yeah. So that was the perfect segue into the next question for Tom, right? Because John just outlined all the challenges that they have at the shop and some of the things they do, but iCar's created this really cool thing called the Academy curriculum to help with all that. And let's talk a little bit about what Academy brings to this and the organization it brings to the shop for an apprentice type program.
Yeah, the great thing, Bud, is iCar Academy was really designed at that shop level to help the shop understand how to build and develop their own apprenticeship program. And we've taken those team leader courses, those human resources courses, those mentorship courses. So when you identify the right person, you've got them in the right role, then we can give them some of that education to understand what is going to make them the most successful, right? It's no different than a lot of other tasks you think about doing. Just because you want to do it, if you don't know how to do it, you're generally not going to be successful right out of the gate. The other thing is with our registered apprenticeship program, we have the mentorship assessments that are a great tool to help these mentor candidates understand what it would be to be a mentor, and to make sure that we've had the chance to partner that mentor up with the best entry-level technician, so that their skill sets together, their personalities mesh, as opposed to pulling them in opposite directions.
Yeah. And then you add the whoa, I got a little too close, I guess. Then you add the curriculum to that, right? How beneficial is it, and what are you hearing in the streets with the schools, having that modular curriculum that is learn a little bit in the classroom, get out there and get hands-on, instead of hours in the classroom and not getting as hands-on with it?
Yeah, the big thing we're seeing there is we get a lot of interaction with those students and that mentor, and they talk about, here's what I'd like to lay out for you that I'd like you to take on your own, right? To take those online courses, and then when you get finished with those courses, then we want to put that into application. We want to take that knowledge that you've learned, take those lessons that you've completed, and I want to show you in real life or real time how to apply all of the lessons that you learn through taking that coursework.
So let's talk just for a minute, John. I know you've got a program that you're pretty proud of, that you're getting started here. You're going to have a bunch of technicians or entry-level technicians out at your shop here real soon. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Tell us what you've got coming up.
Yeah, honestly, Bud, we are fortunate that we have an instructor that's in Calumet City, Illinois, and that's George Navarrete. This gentleman has done a fantastic job with the kids, and this past summer he brought 2 kids in, and he says, hey, would you mind if we come in, take a look at things? We let them work on the 3D system, and 2 nice young men, and believe it or not, we were able to hire one that's in our paint shop. He placed 2 years in a row, Skills USA, graduated high school. He's with us now. That young man is starting to paint. He's doing the smaller steps, but we find a diamond in the rough. I was so fortunate that actually that happened. George just recently gave us a call, and he says, John, I have some more students. He says, we really love the opportunity that you gave us the chance to walk through the shop, see how the cars are being worked on, how they're actually anchored down, how they're measured, in the paint shop with the advanced systems. He says, you mind if I bring a few more? I says, you know what, George, that'd be fine. Well, I got the call. It's 14 kids coming now. Okay, and we're going to plan a very, very organized day. It goes step by step by step, and giving these kids a perception that a shop of this caliber, with cleanliness, direction, a process, incorporated with what the academy is, and going through these different stages. Because, by the way, that school is using the academy. So when we couple that, then they have real-time scenario in which they're going to have instilled, that we hope to plant here real soon, that I think that's going to really resonate to where we will see more future technicians come out of this. And if this does resonate like I said it will, we anticipate that we'll be doing this more often for that local school.
Yeah. So leads to my next question for Tom, right? That one of the biggest things that you see out there one of the things I should say you see out there with the schools, is the challenge connecting with collision repair shops. And now when shops are out there looking for something, they're going to run a mentor program, an apprentice program at their shop. How important is it for the shops to connect with not only the local schools, but with the community to help identify and drive the right candidates in for their program?
Yeah, but I was hoping you'd get to this question with me. I really was, because I've got a thought process on it, or a thought about it. So the biggest challenge we see with industry and schools working together is the frustration between both, right? Both are frustrated. So the shops may say, oh, I don't want to go to the school and get an entry-level technician because they don't know anything. And the school will say, well, I don't want to push my students over to this shop because the only time they ever show up is on graduation day. So it's really important that the schools and the shops work together, especially on an advisory board, that really get these shops invested in these students. Because I tell the schools all the time, I said, this really is no different getting the best student to come for you than, let's call it college football, right? These college football coaches, they'll go after those young people 3, 4, 5 years before they're ready to come to school, and they start investing in that person, spending time with them, engaging with them, so they really understand that who that student is, and that student sees that they want them to be a part of their organization. And I think that's what shops miss. They don't realize if they will spend some time investing into that school, whether it's just showing up and talking to these students, whatever the case might be, those students are going to recognize the name of that shop and realize that they want to invest in their lives to create a better opportunity for them for the future. And then the other thing of that, I look at, you can go to any school camp, right? You can go to any camp for your kid for sports, band, theater. How many shops are putting on an automotive camp in the summer and spending a week with young people to come into their shop environment and see what a shop environment looks like and what they could do to prosper and how that could connect with them to become a successful collision repair technician?
Yeah, that's great. So kind of the same question for you though, John. I know you do this a lot. How did you get started? What was the beginning of, if you were talking to a shop owner that wants to get into this, they want to start down this path, but they just don't know what to do. How do they get started?
One, lead by example. And we're finding out a lot of shops that don't engage in the educational path. I think that's important. For them to be an existing shop, keep up to date, get engaged with education through the ICAR programs, and then set the examples. Then it's going to be so much easier. Then they'll comprehend so much more that the educational platform's so much better. Then they can start engaging in the schools. Another point, advisory councils. That's so important. We need industry pillars out there that are going to get engaged to get into the high schools to help them out. These owners, if they have the opportunity to get involved in it and see it, then they'll see there's a possible talent pool there. They could dip into that talent pool, but they themselves should set the example. And us as professionals, by giving that signal, going in there, getting engaged in the schools, seeing how that's done, that would just be a small starting point. And it's not going to be a financial burden, it's just going to be some time. And that time, if you truly value the industry and your business, and you make that effort, then they can help build a future team for themselves. And that's the advice that I like to share with others, and that's what I've done over the years. And I'm fortunate that I think my average age group that is in our shop right now, I think all together they're at like 34, 35 years old. I've seen it coming, bud. I'm not getting any younger.
All right, well, I've got one last question for us while we're up here. So we hear all the time that there's a technician shortage in the industry. We don't have enough talent, and there's no doubt. We need to drive more talent into this industry. But I think the bigger challenge we have is we have culture challenge. If I go out and meet with collision repair shops to have a good culture, they don't have a problem attracting talent. They don't have a problem retaining talent. As a shop owner, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that your team feels the engagement, that you're setting that right culture, that people want to come work for JDM Collision? You don't have to go advertising and try to, steal people from the guy down the street. They're coming to you. They want to be part of your shop.
Properly equipped for one, your overall appearance, and having a process that makes sense. And instilling the fact that because of the complexity of these cars, we like to do things as a team. Keep everybody engaged. And this way here, the volume isn't where I really like it to be, but would I rather put the car out better and safer? Yes. And once these teams see that there's more incentives that are going to come up, keeps them engaged, then the word gets out. It's like, wow, we're doing great. I'm in a 40-hour week. I'm doing very good financially. That's what recently we have some new hires that are in that same process, which they didn't have that opportunity. They were at a flagged hour, or they were working at a shop that they were pushing. And when we instilled our process of the quality, working together, identifying and understanding what actually needs to take place on that car, and in no uncertain terms, the process doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the model. And by having that in place has made it such a better environment for everybody that's there.
Yeah. Tom, I know you go out and you spend a lot of time with the schools when you're rolling this stuff out. What do you hear from the students about culture and the importance to them? Because I hear a lot of times students will say, I want to go to that shop, not that one, because they talk to each other, so they know that one person's getting a better experience than the other at shops. What do you hear is important to the students?
Yeah, it's funny, bud. You go to these schools, you visit with students. A lot of cases, they're shy, right? They don't necessarily open up and start engaging right away, and that again leads back to that conversation of that shop investing in that school, those local students in their area. So now the student becomes comfortable with them, and now they start engaging. But what I'm seeing the most from the students that want to go to work for a shop is they want to be recognized as a valued team member, not just a kid that came into the shop to John's point earlier, to sweep the floors or whatever the case might be. They want to be recognized as a teammate. And once you start recognizing that young person as a teammate and include them into the environment of the shop, they will warm up to everybody that's there, and they'll really wrap their arms around being there because they'll want to be there. When they stop wanting to come to work, they will stop coming to work.
Yep.
So true.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me up here today. Great conversation. At the end of the day, if shops have to step up and start helping themselves.
Yes, they do, bud, and truly. And they can make it work. They truly do.
Yep. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.